Okay, so right now, today, there are literally millions of American parents opening their email and seeing something with the subject line, "Activate your child's Trump account." Oh, and most of them have no idea what they're looking at. Since July 4th, the federal government starts depositing real money into accounts for American kids. $1,000. Free. No strings. Well, some strings. We'll get to that. Before we dive in, I need to be clear. I am not a financial advisor. This video is for educational purposes only. Investing involves risk, so always do your own research before making any financial decisions. I've been digging through the Treasury filings, the IRS guidance, the fine print nobody reads, and honestly, this is one of the weirder financial products the government has ever rolled out. Not bad weird. Just new weird. So here's the basic shape of it. If you have a kid, or you're about to have one, born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028, the Treasury Department is putting $1,000 into an account for them. Automatically, once you activate it, that's the hook. That's what's trending on every parenting subreddit right now. But the $1,000 isn't really the story. The story is what happens after. Starting July 4th, parents, grandparents, family friends, even employers can add up to $5,000 a year into this account. Combined. Not each, combined. So if grandma throws in $3,000, mom and dad can only add 2 more before hitting the wall. And here's the part that should actually get your attention. This money doesn't sit in a savings account earning nothing. It goes straight into US stock index funds. Low-cost ones. It's invested from day one. So what does that actually mean for you? Or for your kid, practically speaking? And it means this isn't a piggy bank. It's a retirement account for a baby. Let's just sit with that for a second. A retirement account. For someone who can't even hold their own head up yet. Legally, these are called 530A accounts. They function almost exactly like a traditional IRA. A custodian, usually a parent, runs it until the kid turns 18. Then control flips over to the kid and it behaves like their own IRA from that point forward. Now, Treasury put out some projections, and this is where people's eyes light up. If a kid just gets the $1,000 seed and literally nothing else ever gets added, assuming average stock market returns around 10% a year, that account could hit roughly $6,000 by age 18, $15,000 by 27. And get this, around $243,000 by age 55, $1,000, untouched. Now bump that up. If a family maxes out the $1,000 annual contribution every single year, the projections get almost absurd. $271,000 by 18, $742,000 by 27, and by 55, Treasury's own website says north of $13 million. Wow, $13 million. From putting away $5,000 a year starting at birth. I want to pump the brakes here though, because okay, this is important. Those numbers assume a 10% average annual return forever with 0 interruptions. That's the historical S&P 500 average. Historical. Not guaranteed. Not even close to guaranteed. Morningstar actually ran their own simulations on this, and their average projected return came in at 6.3% a year, not 10%. That's a massive difference over 50 plus years. We're talking the gap between retiring comfortable and retiring fine, just fine. So here's a question worth sitting with, and I'd actually love to hear your take on this in the comments. Would you still feel good about locking your kids' money into the stock market for 18 years straight? No matter what happens, a recession, a crash, a lost decade, if you have 0 control over the timing, because that's the deal. You don't get to time this. Your kid's account rides whatever the market does for 2 decades minimum. Now let's talk about who actually gets the free money, because this is where it gets, honestly, a little uncomfortable for a lot of families. The $1,000 federal seed deposit only goes to kids born between 2025 and 2028. If your kid was born in, say, 2019, you get nothing from the government directly. 0. But, and this is a real twist, tech billionaire Michael Dell and his wife pledged $6.25 billion of their own money to give $250 to kids born before 2025, but only if that family lives in a zip code where the median income is $150,000 or less. Ah, wait, so a private billionaire is filling the gap the government left? Yeah, that's actually happening. Let's connect this to your actual life for a second, because a lot of this can feel abstract until you put it next to your rent, your grocery bill, your car payment. If you're a parent right now, paycheck to paycheck, juggling daycare costs that are basically a second mortgage, this account is one more thing on your plate, one more app to download, one more form to file, one more password to remember. And the contributions. They're after-tax dollars. This isn't like a 401k where your employer skims it off your paycheck before taxes hit. You're contributing money you already paid taxes on, which means you, the parent, need to track your own contributions carefully, using something similar to IRS Form 8606. So you're not taxed twice when your kid eventually pulls the money out decades from now. That's a paperwork burden most working families are not equipped for. Full stop. Now here's the hidden story. The part most headlines are skipping completely. This program isn't just about baby savings accounts. It's designed to nudge an entire generation of Americans into thinking of themselves as stock market participants from literally day one of life. Think about what that does 20, 30 years out. An entire cohort of adults who grew up with skin in the market, emotionally, financially, before they could even talk. Is that good? Oh, depends who you ask. Some economists think it builds long-term financial literacy and closes the wealth gap early. Others think it just widens the gap between families who can afford to max out $5, zero on a year, and families who are lucky to scrape together $50 a month. Because let's be real, if you're bleeding cash just trying to keep the lights on, hitting that $5,000 annual contribution cap is not happening. Meanwhile, a family with disposable income can fund it every single year without blinking, and compound that advantage for 18 years before their kid even applies for a job. So the wealth gap this program claims to help close. There's a real argument it does the opposite. It could just supercharge the gap that already exists. Let's compare this to what families already had. Because Trump accounts don't exist in a vacuum, they're now sitting next to 529 plans, custodial Roth IRAs, and UGMA or UTMA accounts. 529 plans are the classic education savings vehicle. Tax-free growth, tax-free withdrawals, but only if the money goes toward qualified education expenses. Try to pull it for anything else, and you're eating penalties and taxes. Trump accounts don't have that restriction the same way. It's not locked to education. It's locked to age 18, and after that, it behaves like a regular IRA, meaning early withdrawals before retirement age still trigger penalties and taxes. Similar to pulling money out of your own IRA too soon, custodial Roth IRAs for kids are actually one of the more powerful tools out there. Tax-free growth and tax-free withdrawals in retirement. But here's the catch nobody talks about. Your kid needs earned income to contribute. A baby can't have a job. A Trump account doesn't require that. Any kid, working or not, qualifies. So which one's actually better? Honestly, that's the wrong question. The real question is which one fits your family's actual goals. If you're saving purely for college, a 529 still might make more sense because of the tax treatment on education expenses. If you're thinking pure long-term wealth building and your kid doesn't have earned income yet, a Trump account fills a gap that literally didn't exist before. I'm not going to tell you to open one. I'm not going to tell you to skip one either. That's not my call to make. And honestly, it shouldn't be some guy on YouTube's call either. Here's a Reddit-style question I keep coming back to, and I want you to actually think about it instead of scrolling past. If the stock market drops 40% the year before your kid turns 18, right when they need that money most for college or a first car or moving out, how would that change how you feel about this whole program? Because market timing doesn't care about your kid's birthday. It just doesn't. Now let's talk about the bearish case. The skeptical side, because I promised you both sides and I mean it. Skeptics point out that mandatory stock market exposure for minors, with no ability to adjust allocation based on family risk tolerance, is genuinely unusual. Most financial advisors would never put 100% of any long-term account into equities without at least discussing risk tolerance first. This program does it by default. For every enrolled kid, no conversation required. There's also the fraud angle. Treasury has already had to send out warnings about scam emails impersonating the Trump accounts rollout. When you create a brand new federal financial product and roll it out to tens of millions of families overnight, scammers show up fast. Real fast. If you're getting an email about this, Treasury says legitimate communications only come from a specific no reply address. Anything else, be suspicious. And there's the bigger unresolved question. The tax treatment on gifts and estates isn't even fully finalized yet. Financial advisors are telling clients to wait for more IRS guidance before treating this as a core piece of estate planning. That's not fear-mongering, that's just where the paperwork currently stands. So what's the bullish case, to be fair? For families who can can consistently contribute. This is free money plus a forced, disciplined, decades-long investment habit that most Americans, even adults, never actually build for themselves. Compound growth over 18, 30, 50 years is genuinely one of the most powerful forces in personal finance, and starting that clock at birth instead of at your first job is a real structural advantage. Would you rather have this account start compounding at age 0, or would you rather have full control and flexibility with a 529 or custodial account starting whenever you choose? There's no universally right answer. It depends on your family, your income, your goals. Here's what I'd actually encourage you to do instead of rushing to sign up because everyone else is. Go read the actual IRS guidance yourself. Go look at trumpaccounts.gov directly, not a summary of it. Compare the fee structures, the fund options, the withdrawal rules against a 529 plan your state might already offer, especially if your state gives a tax deduction for 529 contributions that this account doesn't. Talk to an actual fee-only financial advisor if you can, someone who isn't selling you a specific product. Understand your own contribution capacity honestly. There's no shame in starting with the free $1,000 and adding nothing else for a few years while your budget stabilizes. This program is brand new. The rules will almost certainly get adjusted, clarified, maybe even challenged in court over the next few years, the same way every major new federal financial program does. Nobody, including the Treasury Department itself, has all the answers finalized yet. So do the research. Read the primary sources, not just headlines. Think in decades, not headline cycles. And whatever you decide for your kid, make sure it's actually your decision, made with your numbers, not something you did because a video on the internet told you it was a slam dunk, because it isn't a slam dunk. It's a tool, and like every tool, it works exactly as well as the person using it.